Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Glad to have you. If you want to,
Good morning.
you'd like to put yourself on mute, the chief's getting ready to start.
Just like
Chief, turning it over to you when you're ready.
All right, wonderful. Well, welcome everyone, and thank you for taking the time on a Friday morning to join us. We'll try to get through this fairly lengthy agenda in due course. A couple of housekeeping reminders that I give you each time, which is that if you're a guest to the meeting, please email rsvp@georgiacourts.gov so we can have a record for our minutes, and that's on the screen for your reference. The meeting is being recorded, both audio and visual, and live streamed, and it's open to the public and press. During voting items, we're going to call for opposition only, which will make moving through voting items a little bit smoother. And as always, we please ask that you mute your devices when not speaking. To my understanding, Cynthia, all of the members are attending except maybe Judge Branson. Is that right?
Yes, Judge Bryson is with us today, but we are welcoming Judge Bobby Wolf.
Yeah, Judge Wolf. Yeah, Judge Wolf, welcome. Glad to have you. And then do we have, other than that, is he a designee or is he just here as a guest?
He's a designee.
Okay, wonderful. Any other designees, Cynthia, that I'm unaware of?
Yes, sir.
All right, wonderful. So first, let's start off with an introduction. I want to introduce you all to Courtney Veal, who is the interim director at the Judicial Qualifications Commission. Courtney is not unfamiliar to most of you. I think you've all had an opportunity probably in the past to see her, whether it was through CLE presentations recently. I know she's been involved in some of that or otherwise, but I want to welcome Courtney, give you a little bit about her background. She has been at the JQC since March of 2020, where she serves as the deputy director. You're all aware that Chuck Boring has left, and I believe she's been appointed as the interim director. Prior to that, she served as a special assistant district attorney up in the Cobb Judicial Circuit, working the Special Victims Unit, where she worked for, looks like about 7 years, where she was working as an ADA in that circuit. Previously, as an ADA in the Gwinnett Judicial Circuit for almost a year. Prior to that, working as an assistant solicitor in the Douglas Judicial Circuit. She is a graduate of Georgia State University College of Law and the University of Georgia, go Dogs, for her undergraduate degree. Courtney, welcome, and thank you for joining us this morning.
I'm glad to be here, Chief. Thank you. And I'm honored to serve the commission and the judiciary as well as our citizens in this capacity. And I look forward to working with each of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Courtney. And I'm sure Courtney is happy to answer any questions. If y'all have any along the way, not today, but along the way, feel free to reach out to the JQC as you always have with questions you might have. With that, we have a couple of members we need to administer the council oath to. So I would ask Judge Tish Jackson, Chief Judge Scott Smith, Presiding Judge Warner Kennan, if you will please raise your right hands and take the following oath. I do swear or affirm that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent on me as a member of the Judicial Council of Georgia, according to the best of my ability and understanding, that as a member of the Judicial Council, I will endeavor to improve the administration of justice in this state for the benefit of the public as well as the bench and bar, and that I will strive to improve the judicial system of this state as a whole, as well as in its parts. And I will support the Constitution of the state of Georgia and the Constitution of the United States. So help me God. If you agree with that, please say I do.
I do.
I do.
All right. I got two I do's. Judge Warner Kennan, are you here with us? All right, Cynthia, we'll need to make sure we administer the oath to Judge Kennan at the appropriate time, but it appears that Chief Judge Jackson and Chief Judge Smith have had their oaths properly administered. And thank you both for agreeing to continue to serve on the commission. With that, Cynthia, if you can, you want to call the roll?
Yes, I think I've got everybody. I just want to confirm that Judge John Morris was able to join us. Judge Morris?
I haven't seen any other phone numbers join, Cynthia. I'll let you know.
Okay. Also, Judge Vi Bennett. All right.
I'm here.
Great. Welcome, Judge Bennett.
Thank you.
Judge Danielle McCray. And Judge Warner Kennan. All right, Chief, we've got a quorum if you would like to proceed.
All right, that sounds great. As always, we want to have start this meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I have asked, and he's graciously agreed, Chief Judge Tim Hamill to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this morning. So I'll turn it over to you, Judge Hamill.
Thank you, Chief Justice. If you would please remain seated and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Judge. Always enjoy seeing you, and thank you for joining us today. At tab 1, you have the minutes of our December 9, 2022 meeting of the Judicial Council. It was circulated with supplemental materials yesterday. I will entertain a motion for amendments or corrections, or a motion that they be approved as submitted.
This is Judge.
Yes, I make a motion to approve.
Okay. Second.
Judge Baker.
Second by.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. Are there any additional discussions, amendments, or corrections? Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the minutes are approved as submitted. At this time, we'll move to item 5 on the agenda, which is a really special occasion to celebrate the Judicial Council and AOC's 50th anniversary. And I'll turn it over at this time to Tane Kell, former judge in Cobb County. Judge Kell, welcome, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Chief. It's exciting to be here this morning. Good morning to everyone. For those of you I don't know, I am a retired judge from the Superior Court of Cobb County, and I'm also a Judicial Council Fellow. I am here this morning to introduce you to an exciting year-long celebration of the 50th anniversary of the Judicial Council and the AOC. Next slide, please. The first modern Judicial Council was sworn in by then Governor Jimmy Carter on May the 4th, 1973. That same year, the General Assembly passed the legislation creating the Administrative Office of the Courts. Next slide, please. Recognizing the importance of this occasion, President Carter has forwarded to Chief Justice Boggs and to the Council the letter of commendation you see on the screen. Over the remainder of this anniversary year, we plan to look back at lessons learned from the past 50 years, to help assess where the Council and the AOC are in the present, and with your help, to project where the Council and the AOC, along with the judiciary of Georgia, may go over the next 50 years. Next slide, please. As a first step in both looking at the present and preserving the past, the AOC staff has already collected 50 years worth of its annual reports. It has digitized those reports and placed them on the Council website, giving access to this important glimpse into the history of the Council and the AOC. We are also creating a timeline of the significant dates in the Council's first half century. Other projects that will be ongoing will include a public service project with Habitat for Humanity, highlighting this body's commitment to our community. Special events at the upcoming council meetings will also highlight the past, present, and future of our judiciary. A special CLE event for lawyers will also highlight that, and several other important projects will be ongoing during the year. One of these projects that is already ongoing and in which I will personally be involved will be a series of personal interviews with Judicial Council members and AOC staff from the past and present. These will be part of a personal history created for this judicial body and shared with you over the course of this year. At this time, we have a couple of those videos that we'd like to share with you for today. If you would, please roll the video.
By far, the greatest achievement of the AOC and the Judicial Council and all the classes of court was our ability to work as a unit. There was commitment. You know, the commitment above all else was just off the charts to to make sure that the role of judiciary played itself out in a critical time and that we were true to our mission, even in the midst of a pandemic. The judiciary is described in the Constitution as unified. That is the last time that word is used to describe our Constitution, because in practice, we have all these classes of court, all with their own leadership structure, and then we're told to work together in some type of uniform fashion. But the AOC is the glue that keeps all that together. AOC has been such a critical role in providing that kind of resource to give us credibility when we were talking with our stakeholders throughout the state. Being chair of the Judicial Council was both one of the most rewarding experiences of my professional career, but also one of the most intimidating experiences. We forget the fear and the downright confusion that existed early on in the pandemic. But it was rewarding because that group of judges really came together in a way that I thought was just actually beautiful to watch. We all were trying to scramble to figure out what to do and how to do it. It was extremely helpful to be able to look out across the judiciary and across the state and see friends in critical places. So just the value of friendships in the working place is something I'll take with me wherever I go.
The Judicial Council has really filled their role to the citizens of the state and to the judiciary of this state, largely by providing a platform for the leadership of various classes of courts to have a seat at the table and a voice. That voice is very important. I've served personally in the judicial branch in various classes of courts, and I've always found that the Judicial Council provided that singular sort of voice for the class of court that I was serving in at the time, and provided opportunities to ensure that that particular class of court was heard, had the resources they need, not only to fulfill their constitutional obligations, but the resources the courts need to really improve the administration of justice. And so for me, looking back on 50 years of service of the Judicial Council, the role they best filled, I think, is through providing a voice for all of the various classes of courts. I think the future of the Judicial Council in Georgia is really bright. We've just closed out 2 years of very exemplar service during COVID, which highlighted, I think, the importance of the Judicial Council to our various classes of courts. You know, during COVID, we had classes of courts that had not only their own individual concerns that had to be addressed by a singular body, that is the Judicial Council, but also concerns from various classes of courts that really overlapped into others. And so the Judicial Council was the singular voice during that time. You know, ordinarily the Judicial Council only would meet a couple times a year, but during COVID we were meeting at least once a month, and sometimes even more than once a month, to navigate through the pandemic. And I think as demonstrative of what the future looks like for the Judicial Council, they provided the resources, the thoughtfulness, and the collaboration that was really necessary to bring the state courts through a very difficult time with challenges that no one ever anticipated, and quite frankly, none of us were ever prepared for. But I think it was during that period of time, probably more so than ever in their 50-year history, that the Judicial Council demonstrated its really significant worth and the value and critical nature of the services they provide to our state judicial system.
Thank you. Next slide, please. So I would like to add my congratulations to this organization for 50 years of success and to many more years of service in the future. I hope you will enjoy as we continue to mark the occasion of this anniversary throughout the rest of the year. And of course, don't forget to wear your 50th anniversary pin with pride over this year. Thank you, Chief Justice Boggs, and Ms. Clanton, I'll now turn it back over to you. Thanks for letting me be here.
Well, thank you, Judge. We appreciate that presentation. I am confident that Cynthia, although it feels that way probably to her and to us, that she hasn't been there since 1973. But I will tell you that, despite everything else that's been said, the Judicial Council really has a stellar record, in my opinion, of improving and enforcing and promoting the rule of law. They've done that through their stewardship of programs that are vital in our state, programs like Access to Justice, programs like Justice for Children, grant programs that they administer with really thoughtful stewardship. All of that helps build public confidence in our judicial system. And so I'm really proud of the opportunity to celebrate what we all know the Judicial Council brings. But Cynthia, thank you for what you and your team are continuing to do to carry that legacy forward.
Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome. Thank you, Judge Kell. So with that, we'll move to item 6 on the agenda, and I'll turn it over to Presiding Justice Nels Peterson for the Legislation Committee report, which I believe you can find in your materials. Justice Peterson.
Actually, there is no written report, but I will provide a brief status report on the legislative session. Yesterday was Legislative Day 16. Crossover Day is rapidly approaching. It'll be Monday, March 6th, or Legislative Day 28. The council, as you'll remember, has previously voted to support 2 initiatives. The first is legislation to provide for technical and conforming amendment cleanup throughout the code as a result of last year's passage of the Judicial Council Initiative House Bill 916 about appeals from lower trial courts to Superior Court. This bill has been filed as House Bill 186 by Representative Rob Leverett. He's a good friend to us, and he also carried 916 last year, and it is scheduled to be taken up in House Judiciary on Tuesday. And then the second bill is legislation to amend OCGA 15-12-122 to increase the threshold permitting a 6-person jury in a civil case unique to state courts from $25,000 to $100,000. The council is still working on this, and the State Bar Advisory Committee on Legislation recently voted to support it as well. Going to new judgeships, the council's top 3 ranked judgeship recommendations have funding requests in the FY24 budget and are moving along. House Bill 77 for the Doherty Judicial Circuit passed the House earlier this week. House Bill 243 for the Coweta Judicial Circuit is scheduled to be taken up in House Judiciary on Tuesday. And Senate Bill 66 for the Atlantic Judicial Circuit, we expect a hearing soon on that. Other bills that aren't our initiatives, but that we are closely watching include Senate Bill 63 and Senate Bill 100, which are public safety bills involving unsecured judicial release and bond requirements. Senate Bill 63 was heard in the Senate Public Safety Committee yesterday. Representatives from the state and municipal courts were present and testified, and we'll continue to monitor and discuss this in our weekly calls of the Legislative Committee. And then House Bill 126 is a bill that's really an initiative of the Georgia Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, looking to streamline some post-conviction litigation issues as a result of some recent decisions of our court. And that bill is sponsored by the chairman of the House Judiciary Non-Civil Committee and is assigned to that committee. So we expect that it is likely to receive a hearing soon. The Behavioral Health Reform and Innovation Commission, one of the subcommittees of which the chief chairs, legislation is expected to be filed soon, and we of course will follow that closely. We're hosting our weekly calls with members of the Legislative Committee and judicial staff, including today following this meeting each Friday at noon. We will continue to ask everyone to share information and legislative initiatives through the committee, even if they seem to only affect one class of court, so that we can speak with one voice, coordinate as the judicial branch, and all sort of be on the same page and know what's going on. Please do reach out to me or to Tracy Mason with any questions, feedback, or what have you. And then the only other thing I do have is the chief was pointing out just before the meeting started that I am, in fact, so far as we know, the only National Weather Service certified storm spotter on the Judicial Council, and that is a responsibility that I take very seriously. And so, given that, I feel it is necessary to take this opportunity to point out, tomorrow night, north of I-20, there is a chance of snow. And so if you have not already gone out and purchased your bread and milk, it is too late, and you have nothing left but to get into your white Escalade and head out for the interstate. So good luck to each of you.
What a great report. We are really a full service judicial council, providing assistance in any number of ways. Questions to the presiding justice on whether related or legislative related? Anybody have any? As always, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to Tracy Mason or Cheryl Coronis or Justice Peterson or I, as we try to track all of these bills and determine what effect, if any, they have on various classes of court. If there are no other questions, we'll move to the second item under Judicial Council Committee reports, which is the Budget Committee report, which can be found in written form at tab 2 of your materials. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask now, or you can wait. As you know, the budget process is a fairly bifurcated process, with the amended 23 budget going first. We worked through that process in both the House and the Senate. We presented this week to the Senate subcommittee on the amended budget. And next Tuesday, we will be presenting the amended, the fiscal year 24 budget of both our court, but also the Judicial Council budget at that time. And I thank Presiding Justice Peterson for being able to do that on our behalf. With that, we will move to item C, which is the Judicial Emergency Preparedness Committee written report found at tab 3. Judge Pipkin is unable to be with us today, but Ben Luke is available to answer any questions if anybody has any concerning that written report. Are there any questions? Hearing none on item 6C, we will move to item 6D, which is the ARPA Funding Committee report. I've prepared a written report, which you can find at tab 4 of your materials. It's dated February 2nd of this year and fairly well outlines the status of what's going on with the ARPA committee. I do want to hit some highlights though. First, the calendar year 22 funds expired, as you all know, on December 31st of 22. Funds are awarded on a calendar year basis. They don't carry over, as you know. Grantees have been given under our rules 60 days to submit reimbursement requests for grant expenses incurred through 12/31 of 22. Importantly, you should remember the deadline to submit those calendar year 22 reimbursement requests is quickly approaching and is March 1st of this year. We are updating the figure provided to you in the report as of last Friday. So now over $10 million has been reimbursed to circuits and the Council of Superior Court judges for senior judges for the calendar year 22 expenses. So I'm really proud of the work our team has done to try to get those reimbursements processed through OPB back to us and then distributed out to the various circuits that have been awarded grants, as well as the council. As reported at the last Judicial Council meeting, through continued partnership with the Governor's Office of Planning and Budget, the committee approved an audiovisual expenditure modernization in existing courtrooms as an eligible expense, subject to certain rules and procedures. That ARPA audiovisual equipment modernization policy is in your materials and is also posted on the ARPA website. You should know the committee also approved an increase to the award cap of $2 million, which had been the calendar year 22 policy. We've increased that cap to $2.5 million for all eligible expenses, including audiovisual equipment modernization. And that was essentially to accommodate those circuits that were already at the cap, but because of the change and approval now of audiovisual equipment, we wanted to give you some latitude in being able to upgrade your equipment if necessary. Applications for this funding will be accepted during the next regularly scheduled application period. You should all know that will take place on April 1 and will extend through April 15th. So that is the next ARPA grant application process during which you can ask for budget amendments and so forth. This will be the final application period for 2023. So I remind you of that. After that, the committee's award amendments and administrative budget revision policy will be strictly enforced. We don't have the bandwidth or the manpower at the ARPA committee to pull off of reimbursement requests for 43 judicial circuits and the Council of Superior Court judges to continue to handle budget amendment requests. And so we have a policy that says if you want those done, they need to be done during the next open period, which again is April 1 to April 15th. That policy is also posted on our website. All committee documents have been and are continuously updated to reflect the policy changes that I've just mentioned. A complete list of those revisions by date can be found on the cover of the frequently asked questions document on our website. And then finally, last week, I'm very proud to say that the ARPA committee, at the request of the DCAs and many of the grantees who wanted more timely and accurate information concerning the status of their reimbursement request, we had committed to them we would try to work out a way to support a grants dashboard. And just last week, we launched an ARPA grants dashboard to provide real-time data on grant award reimbursement request and award status. That dashboard may be accessed through the ARPA website. And as always, the ARPA team is always available to answer any questions concerning updates, committee policies, or other questions or concerns. Hope you've all had a chance to take a look at the dashboard. I think it's very helpful in helping you navigate and answer questions maybe about your governing authority about what is the status of reimbursement requests that have been submitted. So I really thank the ARPA team. Thank you, Cynthia, for allowing them to provide this most important and vital technical assistance to the ARPA grant process. Does anybody have any questions concerning any of that? All right, well, hearing none, I'm now going to turn it over to Cynthia for a report from the Judicial Council, her written report. It's going to be an oral report, but I think we may have some materials from Michelle Barclay on tab 5.
Thank you, Chief. And Chief, I wanted to welcome Judge Danielle McRae, who was able to attend. She's a Judicial Council member. And we also have new Judicial Council member, Warner Kennan, who was just able to join us. And Chief, if you still got that oath handy, maybe we could swear him in.
Judge Cannon.
Yes,
Cannon. Hey, welcome and thank you for being with us. I'm going to read an oath, and at the end, if you agree with it, I'm going to ask you to verbally announce that you agree with it. So the oath is as follows. Please raise your right hand. I do swear or affirm that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent on me as a member of the Judicial Council of Georgia, according to the best of my ability and understanding. That as a member of the Judicial Council, I will endeavor to improve the administration of justice in the state for the benefit of the public as well as the bench and bar. That I will strive to improve the judicial system of this state as a whole as well as in its parts, and that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Georgia, so help me God. Do you agree with? Do you agree?
I do, yes, sir. Apologies for my hearing running over.
No worries at all. I'm glad you're doing that duty. Thank you for being with us. And now, Cynthia, we'll turn it back over to you.
Thanks, Chief. Justices, judges, and judicial branch leaders. Happy 50th anniversary, Judicial Council. We are thrilled to be working with Cal to use 50th anniversary as an opportunity to highlight the leadership of the Judicial Council and the role of the AOC. I've got new lapel pins and baby bibs for you with our updated logo plus other anniversary commemorations planned for the rest of the year. My thanks again to Judge Kell, Michelle Barclay, her communications team, and our innovative IT professionals for their celebration ideas. Thank you for helping us finalize the fiscal year 22 annual report, which is published, being distributed to the General Assembly, and will be included in the newly created searchable archive. And it's time for us to publish the Georgia Courts Directory. I invite you to review the draft of the directory before we print and distribute it. We'll be sending you a link via email. And if there are any corrections needed, please contact our communications specialist, Bruce Shaw. Your edits are going to help us make the hard copy of the Georgia Courts Directory as accurate as possible. Also, please note there is always an online version of that directory, and it's continually updated and may be found at the bottom left corner of georgiacourts.gov homepage. This year's legislative session began on Monday, January 9th, with Chief Justice Boggs swearing in the legislators at the House after saying a hearty, "Go Dogs," in anticipation of UGA's second national championship. Thank you for continuing to meet with Presiding Justice Peterson, also a weatherman, and our legislative team each Friday to discuss legislation so we can stay coordinated and informed. AOC legislative team, led by Tracy Mason, is again using a helpful bill tracking tool to keep a close eye on all proposed legislation affecting the Georgia judicial branch. Please visit our website to access the tracking tool and to read our weekly updates on legislation affecting the courts. Speaking of the legislative session, it was both probate court judge and magistrate court judge's day at the Capitol on February 1st. Such days provide wonderful opportunities for judges to interact personally with leaders in the legislative branch while enjoying a biscuit and the varsity. Pictured in this slide is President of the Council of Magistrate Court Judges, Rebecca Pitts, and Representative Clint Crow. We also have this wonderful picture of the Probate Court Judges Council with Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones on the interior staircase of the Capitol, including Judicial Council members, Judges Sean Rhodes and Daniel McCrae. Our ARPA team recently provided technical assistance training to grantee circuits to ensure a smooth and efficient process as the new award period begins. My thanks to Regina Haley, the ARPA grant manager, our CFO, Peterson David, and the entire ARPA team for their hard work and flexibility as they continue grant distributions to reimburse participating courts. Speaking of ARPA funds, the next grant applications window will open on April 1st and close on April 15th. Grants submitted during that period and subsequently approved will have a start date of June 1st, 2023. Chart of all the important upcoming ARPA grant dates, instructions, frequently asked questions, and a very helpful ARPA dashboard may be found on our website under the ARPA page. The AOC is proud to support the Child Support Commission, which is led by Judge Michael Key and Executive Program Manager Elaine Johnson. The commission recently put the finishing touches on a comprehensive review of Georgia's child support guidelines, a Herculean task for sure. Congratulations. Copy of the report documenting that review may be found on the Georgia Child Support Commission's website. And the commission always appreciates comments from the bench, especially on how the child support guidelines hold up in real life. Written comments may always be submitted to the commission at any time through its website or reach out to its staff attorney, Noelle Lajou Alvarez, who is in our office. Speaking of Noelle, she serves on the planning committee for the annual Georgia Bar, Media, and Judiciary Conference, which will be at the State Bar Center on Friday, February 24th. The AUC is happy to be an in-kind sponsor again this year. Complimentary registration code for that conference was sent via email recently to all judges statewide. Now, if you didn't receive it and you'd like to attend the conference on a complimentary basis, please let us know. Supporting your council's events and meetings are some of our favorite ways to serve you. My thanks to Council's Superior Court judges for inviting our IT team, led by Ben Luke, to host a help desk table at the council's recent winter conference. Our IT professionals continue to offer free IT training for the judiciary, and 150 attendees attended our last virtual training on Microsoft Word. Please check out the new website we just finished designing for our friends up at the Mountain Judicial Circuit. Let us know if your website needs a refresh for spring. The AOC staff has also recently launched a new IT newsletter called Court Tech Talks. Please keep a lookout for that quarterly publication that we produce to help you. Accountability courts change lives, and we are honored to support the Council of Accountability Court Judges. The AOC continues to attend your Accountability Court graduations whenever possible, as it helps us stay connected to your work. I was invited to attend Chief Judge Letitia Deere Jackson's Accountability Court graduation in the past and plan to attend another in the future. Pictured here is Cobb County's Mental Health Court, presided over by Vice Chief Judge Ann Harris. Congratulations to Chief Judge Brenda Trammell for her reappointment to the Judicial Council's Board of Court Reporting. Judicial Council member and President-elect of the Council of State Court Judges, John Edwards, is the board's long-serving chair and does a great job. This board regulates and ensures the annual training of 1,085 court reporters in the state. And Herbert Gordon, who is pictured here, leads our AOC team staffing this important board. Our Georgia Courts Registrar team, also led by Herbert, is always busy during the winter holidays, as many entities such as our friends at the Georgia Office of Dispute Resolution require annual registrations of court neutrals by the end of December. Over 2,438 neutrals renewed over the holidays. One of the Judicial Council strategic plan's goal is to enhance the professional and ethical image of the judiciary through community engagement. My thanks to Judge Cynthia Adams for participating in our version of World Read Aloud Day by reading to an elementary school located just 1 mile from the Superior Court in Douglasville. Our court observation program sends AOC staff to court sessions across the state so we can learn more about your day-to-day work in order to serve you better. During this fiscal year, we've visited 10 courts and we've got more planned. This time, the Gwinnett County Courts hosted AOC staffers Khalil Nunes and Devin Cooper, who are pictured here with Judge Regina Matthews. Thank you to AOC staffer Amber Range for coordinating these fun and informative outreach events. Our HR manager, Jacqueline Booker, does a great job planning our all-staff meetings each month, and I want to thank Municipal Court Judge and President of the Council of Municipal Court Judges, Jajanya Baker, for speaking at our end of the year meeting. She even treated us with gift bags of her favorite chocolate chip cookies. Super delicious and very nice, Judge. Thank you. Thank you also to Council of State Court Judges President Vi Bennett for speaking and singing at our January all-staff meeting. Her renditions of Happy Birthday in honor of the Judicial Council's 50th anniversary and recent staff birthdays was heartfelt and unforgettable. Please join me in congratulating one of the most treasured court employees and clerks, Supreme Court Clerk T. Barnes, who will be receiving the prestigious Mercer Law School Outstanding Alumna Award on February 25th. T, congratulations, very much deserved. Now, as I traditionally do, I'd like to welcome the newest member of our judicial branch family. We've got a super cute picture of Judge Donnie Gillis's granddaughter, both in a Georgia Judicial Branch baby bib and a Santa hat. And that's how we end our presentation today. The AOC is a service agency for Georgia judges and a state resource for you. We exist to serve you, the members of the Judicial Council, and our partners. As always, please let me know how I can serve you better. Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome, Cynthia, and that's just a fabulous report. For those of you that are new to the Judicial Council and maybe didn't understand the breadth of the work that is touched by your Judicial Council, I hope that that really thorough display demonstrated to you all of the areas that we're engaged in to support you and to support the administration of justice for our citizens in Georgia. So thank you, Cynthia. Really appreciate that report. We will now move to item 8 on the agenda, where we will hear reports from courts, councils, and the state bar. Starting with a report from me for the Supreme Court. You will find a written report that I've prepared that is in your materials at tab 6. A couple of items that I want to highlight. The presiding justice and I have been meeting individually with each class of court in the last several weeks. We finished those meetings yesterday with a very good meeting, I think, with the Council of State Court Judges. Earlier in the day, met with the Council of Probate Court Judges, and we're going to continue to engage in those conversations in order to better understand the needs and challenges each of those classes have and how we may better assist you. So to each of those, to the leadership of each of those classes of courts, thank you for being willing to meet. Thank you for traveling to meet with me and the presiding justice. We're greatly appreciative for all you do in your respective jurisdictions and in your respective courts. In addition, you should be aware that the court has issued and created a Judicial Council Standing Committee on Judicial Security. The order that creates that standing committee is in the materials. That committee will begin their work soon. Justice LaGrua from our court will chair that committee, and the AOC staffs assigned to that committee will be Darren Enns and Shirley Roberts. You should be hearing, your respective classes of courts should be hearing from Justice LaGrua very shortly on asking you to designate your appointee to that committee. Each class of court will be included as a voting member of that standing committee. Once the standing committee is formed with appointees, we will then ask the appointees to help us formulate and provide a list of advisory committee members, stakeholders that are going to be able, I hope, to provide technical assistance to that committee, and really just thinking more thoughtfully about what we might be able to do. There's nothing particularly driving this. You should be aware that the real genesis for this was because, as you all probably know, Chief Justice John Roberts of the U.S. Supreme Court included in his annual report this year, really as a centerpiece of his report, concerns about judicial security, not only at his court, but across the country. There have been, unfortunately, some very, very sad circumstances and not only threats, but actual actions against federal judges and even some state judges on occasion. We're not doing this in response to any particular issue or any particular matter that's been brought to our attention, but rather just trying to be thoughtful about what, if anything, we might be able to do to assist you and your respective classes of courts and be thoughtful about just judicial security generally. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Presiding Justice Peterson?
Sorry, it took a second to find the mute button.
No,
I think you covered it.
Okay, thank you. And with if there are no questions concerning, I'm happy to answer questions if anyone has any. Hearing none, we'll move to item 8B and hear from the Court of Appeals, Judge Brian Rickman, who has provided a written report. Judge Rickman, welcome and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Justice. Only one thing to mention. It's contained in our written report. As many of you guys know, since we last saw you, we lost our colleague, Judge Clyde Reese, who passed away. I want to say thank you to everybody who reached out to us, reached out to his family. Many of you on this conference call were at the visitation or attended the private service. If you knew Clyde, you knew a very humble, very non-self-aggrandizing, very polite, very quiet, thoughtful jurist who had a varied career in Georgia government. And we loved him. We miss him. He leaves behind a wonderful family. He was, we had one conversation together where I talked about how great it was going to be for him to serve as chief in the coming years based on his extraordinary background in leading agencies that had budgets upwards of $1 billion. He was a source of strength for me. He chaired our budget committee and always very privately would call with advice and talk through things. And one of the least self-aggrandizing, least volatile, calmest, most wonderful human beings that we have had at our court. And I think we all agree we need more of those in the world. So thank you for your well wishes, and he will be deeply missed. And thank you for the opportunity to say a few words. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Judge Rickman. I echo your comments about my former colleague at the Court of Appeals, Judge Reese. A really finer person you couldn't meet. A more welcoming and just gentle and kind person, and a really dedicated public servant throughout his entire career. We express our condolences again to your court on your loss and to his family. It's a terrible loss for such a fine person. So thank you for highlighting that for us, Judge Rickman. With that, we will move to item C, which is to hear from Judge Hamrick on the statewide business court. Judge Hamrick has provided a written report. Are you with us this morning, Judge?
Chief, you may have trouble with this microphone. I know he was here earlier.
No worries. He has provided a written report. If anyone has any questions concerning that written report, let us know and we'll be happy to try to answer those for you. Now moving to the Council of Superior Court Judges, Chief Judge Arthur Smith, who also has provided a written report, but who is with us. Judge Smith, welcome.
Thank you. We stand on our written report, and in my role as Chief Judge of the Chattahoochee Judicial Circuit, we look forward to welcoming the Judicial Council to Columbus for the April 21st meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. We look forward to being with you, and thank you for the report and for your leadership. Now moving to the Council of State Court Judges, Judge Vi Bennett. Judge Bennett, good to see you 2 days in a row now. Thank you for being with us and for your written report.
Thank you, Judge. Chief. In addition to our written report, I would like to highlight the meeting that our leadership team had with the Chief Justice and the presiding justice yesterday. I'm certain that all classes of court have similar issues, and we appreciate the time y'all took to listen to our concerns. Those efforts help to maintain the unified judiciary that former Chief Justice Melton spoke of in his video celebrating the 50th Judicial Council anniversary, and we appreciate that opportunity to express our concerns. Thank you, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Judge Bennett. Next, moving to the Council of Juvenile Court Judges, who have also provided a written report in your materials, and Judge Render Hurd. Judge, welcome.
Glad to be here. Chief, we are standing on our written report this morning, I think.
All right. Thank you for that. Now to the Council of Probate Court Judges and Judge Sean Rhodes.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Chief Justice. We appreciated getting to meet with you yesterday. We actually passed the state court judges in the lobby, and after much warnings and welling and gnashing of teeth, they still proceeded upstairs. So we do appreciate the opportunity, and otherwise we'll stand on our written report.
Thank you, Judge. Always enjoyed being with you yesterday as well. Council of Magistrate Court Judges, Chief Judge Rebecca Pitts.
Good morning, Chief Justice. I'd like to stand on our written report, and I also would like to thank you for the opportunity to meet with you and the presiding justice last week. We really appreciate that and hope that it's the first of many more meetings to come to help us all work together as a unified voice.
Thank you, Judge. We enjoyed the conversation, and we too look forward to many more of those. Now to the Council of Municipal Court Judges, Judge Donya Baker. Judge Baker, thank you for being with us.
Good morning, Chief. We will stand on our written report. I do just want to commend the court for its creation of the Judicial Council Standing Committee on Judicial Security. I think that is just going to be an outstanding commission, and we're grateful to have a seat at the table. We too had such a wonderful time meeting with you and presiding Justice Peterson. The information shared was just invaluable. We're just grateful that you took time to meet with us and to hear back from us. That was genuine and greatly appreciated. Lastly, we are having our legislative breakfast and day at the Capitol on March 8th at 10:30. Everyone here is invited, and invitations will be going out shortly to our appellate court judges. Thank you so much, Chief.
Thank you, Judge. Appreciate your work on municipal courts, and thank you for meeting with us. And hopefully we will all see you again on March 8th at 10:30. So thank you for that forthcoming invitation. I'm not sure if President of State Bar Sally Akins has been able to stay with us. I know she had to leave. Sally, are you still here?
I am here, Chief, and the State Bar stands on its written report, and just again, pleased to be here and be part of this group.
Thank you, Sally. We're always glad to have you with us and to hear the interest of the State Bar. So thank you, and look forward to seeing you in the future. With that, we will move to reports from additional judicial branch agencies, which are found at tab 7 of your materials. And we will start with the Council of Accountability Court Judges and Taylor Jones.
Well, good morning, Chief Justice and members of the Judicial Council. CACJ is going to stand on our written report, but do want to highlight that we recently released our FY22 annual report. A copy can be found on our website. And this report works to highlight the training and technical assistance that's provided by CACJ, but also the dedicated work of Georgia's accountability courts. And further, this report includes updated performance measures, and I am pleased to report that since fiscal year 13, Georgia's accountability courts have cumulatively served 32,034 participants. This is a statistics that we're very proud of and are hopeful to continue to see it to grow. We appreciate the support from the Judicial Council AOC and all of our stakeholders. Thank you, Chief Justice.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. We're very supportive of our accountability courts, very appreciative for what the council does to support those accountability courts. Hopeful that the Judicial Council budget process for fiscal year 24 goes well with respect to the needs of the Accountability Court Judges Council. So thank you for all you're doing. Now moving to the Georgia Commission on Dispute Resolution and Chief Judge Cindy Morris.
We will stand on our report this morning, Chief Justice, but I do want to point out that 2023 marks the 30th anniversary for the Commission and Office of Dispute Resolution. We'll have some events going on during the year to mark that and celebrate that. And we were able to swear in 2 new appointees week at our meeting on Wednesday. Judge Pandora Palmer from Flint Judicial Circuit and Judge Vic Reynolds from Cobb Judicial Circuit. Other than that, we stand in our report. Thank you, Chief Justice.
Wonderful. Thank you for that presentation. We will now move to the Council of Superior Court Clerks, and Stacey Harrelson or Mike Holloman. Are you all here as well?
Thank you, Chief. This is Mike Holloman. The clerks are deep in the legislative session, as you are. I wanted to mention that we, as part of the Criminal Data Exchange Board, have met the statutory obligation to publish standards for the criminal data exchange across the many criminal justice agencies. We published that and sent it to the legislature and all affected parties the first week of January. And I want to continue to commend the several members that represent the Judicial Council, each class, who have been actively participating in that effort. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. I know the CDEX board met on February 2nd. So is there anything else you can provide concerning an update from what maybe came out of that meeting?
That latest meeting showed us that we have more work to do on the standards. The standards revolve around, how do we get criminal disposition data into the GCIC network? Without getting into it too deeply, many of you will know that the GCIC network requires what they call charge mapping. So every stage of an arrest cycle must be reported and amended. Charges must be amended. That has not been happening for now 15 years. That system went live in July of 2007. Court dispositions continue to be rejected for no other reason than they do not align with the original arrest.
Yeah.
The latest standard that was issued by the CDX board would require GCIC to accept legitimate, valid dispositions from the court, regardless of whether those charges have been previously amended to indictments or the original arrest. GCIC wants to continue that discussion. We are convening a smaller group of just technical staff representing GCIC, the clerks, prosecutors, the Judicial Council, and the sheriffs, to try and figure out how we can help GCIC meet that latest standard. So Lots of work ahead for the CDX board.
Thank you for that update. Are there any questions? All right, thank you for the update and for the report. We will now move to item D, the Chief Justice's Commission on Professionalism, and Carlise Greer has provided a written report. Carlise, welcome.
Hi, good morning, Chief. Thank you. I do want to take a moment to acknowledge the loss of our commission member, Judge Clyde Reese, who is a representative of the commission for the Court of Appeals. I can't add much to Judge Rickman's eloquent words, but I do want to acknowledge his service. He was an active, it wasn't just a commission member, name only but was active in our committees and programs, and he will be missed. And so I do want to acknowledge Judge Reese. Other than that, I will stand on our written report. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlise. Appreciate those kind words for our friend. With that, we'll move to the Georgia Council of Court Administrators and Lynn Ashley.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. And I wanted to thank y'all for your continued support of the Georgia Council of Court Administrators. I'd like to highlight that we are preparing for our upcoming GCCA Spring Conference at Callaway Gardens. That'll be March the 15th through the 17th. And we've got a great agenda planned for that. And we will continue to educate and provide information to our court administrators throughout the state of Georgia. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the presentation and good luck with the conference. I'm sure it'll be well attended. The Institute of Continuing Judicial Education, Lynn Moore Nelson, who has also provided a written report. Ms. Nelson, are you with us?
Good morning to everyone. We'll stand on our report. Thank you, Chief Justice.
You're welcome. Thank you. And now to Deputy Director or Interim Director Courtney Beal of the Judicial Qualifications Commission. Do you have a report, Courtney?
I'm both Chief Justice, Interim Director, Deputy Director. I answer to we don't have a written report this morning, Chief, and we don't have anything new to report. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, moving into old or new business. Does anyone have any old business to discuss? Does anyone want to raise any new items that have not yet been discussed? Hearing none, we will move to a little sad, I guess, moment, but good for her, but sad for us moment, where I want to recognize Jody Overcash. Jody, are you here with us?
Chief, I know she's watching on live stream. I think she's trying to join my Zoom, but she's watching.
Well, I might have moved too quickly for her, but while she's trying to join, you all probably know Jody Overcash, some of you very well, for her service as a district court administrator for the 7th Judicial Administrative District for a mere 23 years. Jody has been just a wonderful asset to the judiciary, to the 7th Judicial Administrative District in particular, an asset for members of all various classes of courts that have needed assistance and understanding about how things work. Jody is an institution when it comes to having a really clear understanding of the statewide judicial system. And so she is now moving on to be circuit court administrator in the Blue Ridge Judicial Circuit. And for those of you that get confused, like everyone else, the Blue Ridge Judicial Circuit is Cherokee County, and where she's going to work with the Superior State and Juvenile Court judges. I want you all to please join me in thanking and recognizing Jody for her stellar service to the Judicial Administrative District, 7th District, but also what we know is going to be coming from her, and we're going to continue to rely on her, notwithstanding her new title. And so, Jody, if you're able to hear me, please know how much we appreciate you and thank you for your years of dedicated service and your friendship to so many of us. So thank you.
Mr. Chief Justice.
Yes, Scott.
This is Judge Scott Smith. As the AJ of the 7th Judicial District and the person who was suckered into taking this position by Jody Overcash with the promise that she would be here to help me, I want to say that there probably is not going to be anyone more missed than Jody Overcash. She not only was a great DCA, but she had been a great friend to our court systems, really going above and beyond and handling a lot of things that probably most DCAs don't. And she is going to be sorely missed. I can assure you that we have reprimanded our colleagues in the Cherokee County area for stealing our jewel of the Nile here. But in any event, I just want to echo your comments because we are in the middle of a search to replace her, but we all realize that there's going to be a very difficult task, if not an impossible task, to replace Jody Overcash. So we wish her well in her new endeavors, but we will be missing her very much. Thank you for letting me say that as well.
Certainly, Chief, and I'm glad you chimed in. I know you all are going to miss her because you deal with her much more regularly than do the rest of us. But my days of going back to being a Superior Court judge and how much of an ally and supporter she was during those days as a DCA in my early tenure as a judge. So I'm sorry for you all. I suppose I'm happy for the Blue Ridge Judicial Circuit. I hope they know what they're getting because they're going to really understand her value add. So thank you for those comments. I know she appreciates them as well.
Chief Justice, I think Jody's online now on the Zoom.
Okay. Well, Jody, thank you. You might have heard the glowing comments from Chief Judge and myself. But thank you for all you've done as a DCA, but what we know you're going to continue to do in the Blue Ridge Circuit. Okay, Cynthia, moving to item 12 on the agenda for some concluding remarks. I don't think I have any concluding remarks. Covered all of the issues that I wanted to cover. For those of you that are ARPA grant recipients, please go online and take a look at the dashboard. I think you're going to be impressed by that. And you might want to look at that before you call about reimbursement requests, because I think you're going to find some answers that you might otherwise have to wait on. So looking forward to the next cycle of that grant process, and looking forward to continuing to meet with judges from all the classes of courts to assist you with the challenges you're having. We still have some backlogs that we're working through, and I do want to say, on behalf of my court in particular, we are very appreciative for the judges that have, many of you, almost all of you, have really worked very hard to get these backlogs under control, with a priority, of course, on your serious violent felony cases. But we're just so thankful for what the judges across all classes of courts have been doing to remediate some very COVID-related but very difficult challenges. We recognize the workforce development problems that most of our circuits are having in hiring, whether it's solicitors, assistant solicitors, whether it's public defenders, or even ADAs. We don't have enough of those going around, and the consequences of that have really exacerbated an already difficult backlog problem. But I want to help you work through those, and to the extent we can, please let me know, and I'll do what I can to assist. Know that our next meeting is a non-Zoom, but rather an in-person meeting, and it will be Friday, February 21st at the Columbus Convention and Trade Center in Columbus, Georgia. We look forward to a warm reception from Art Smith and all of his colleagues, and really look forward to being over there. This is a continued effort to try to get there from an effort that we had to suspend earlier. You should know that that meeting will be live streamed, but there will not be a Zoom option for members. Also, you should know that the hotel block information will be circulated to the courts by AOC staff very soon, and we would ask you to get on the ball and get your hotel blocked or booked as soon as possible with the block that we have in place. That will be the last meeting of the fiscal year, and we'll have a number of members finishing the terms of service on the council. So we look forward to seeing all of you in Columbus at that time. Any questions, any concluding remarks from anyone else?
It's your last chance to buy bread and milk, people.
And the weatherman speaks up. So with that, good luck to everyone. Hope you have a wonderful weekend, a great Valentine's Day next week. Good luck to everyone. Please stay in touch if we can help you in any way. And Cynthia, that'll conclude the meeting.
Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. Be safe.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.